is my first YouTube video. I found it very difficult to find any information on how to change the transmission fluid in a 2007 Toyota Tundra. So I decided, after doing the research and doing it myself, that I would post this so that other people would be able to do it. It is a kind of a little bit of a pain, but it is doable. My truck now has 158,000 miles on it. I bought it with about 150,000 miles on it. However, Toyota, in their infinite wisdom, has what's called a sealed transmission, no dipstick and no filler. So they want to do the work themselves. However, I quickly noticed the transmission was slipping at slow takeoffs and at roll-through stops, and continued to get worse over the last 8,000 miles. So I did research, couldn't figure out how to change the fluid, and under advice from my transmission specialist, he said do not flush the system because it can cause more problems. However, he said if I dumped the fluid that was in the pan and added back new fluid with a Lucas transmission treatment, it should be okay and improve the performance of the transmission. So I bought 4 quarts of WF-ATF fluid and a bottle of Lucas transmission treatment, which is not quite a quart. That's why I bought 4 quarts of the WF-ATF treatment, because you need about 4 quarts, and you'll need a little bit out of the 4th quart because the Lucas doesn't equal that quart. So to top it off, there's varying amounts on the internet as to how much the pan holds, from anywhere from 3.8 to 4.2. So your best bet would be to measure it when it comes out, or stay as close to 4 quarts as possible. The parts that you're going to need to do this are a 5-foot clear rubber hose, 1/2 inch, and a 24 millimeter shallow socket, and I believe a 15 millimeter socket to take the pan plug out, and the fluid that I already suggested. You can use the spout of the Lucas to shove in the tube, and then it does screw into the quart bottles of the ATF for easily pouring. However, the Lucas, you're going to want to make sure is extremely warm, leaving it out in the sun, because it's very thick and takes a long time to go down that tube. Or take some of the Lucas out, mix it with the ATF, shake it, and it will run down the tube quicker. The tube I cut at a 45-degree angle on the end going in the transmission, so that when you pushed it all the way in, if it butted up against something inside, it wouldn't block the flow of the fluid. So that being said, I started by going underneath the hood. Right down in here is where the fill pipe should be and the dipstick should be, but it's not. However, if you shove the rubber tube down between the exhaust and the motor and let it hang out down on the bottom and leave the rest of it up here, then go underneath, and right about in this area underneath the driver's pedals is the plug on the side of the transmission that you're going to want to remove. So if you go underneath the truck, which I'm going to do now, and this is not going to be fun, but and I hope you can see it, but it's up right up in there, and you can just barely see it right there. It's between the drive shaft, the front drive shaft, and the transmission, about 3/4 or a little more forward of the transmission pan, and it's a 24 millimeter nut. And you spin that right out, stick the tube in it, and then take your plug out right here, drain it in a pan. When I drained mine out, it looked like used motor oil. That's how bad it was. I put the plug back in when it was done, started pouring, and it's probably a 20-minute job at most. As soon as I put everything back together, started it up, before I got to the end of my driveway, it didn't slip anymore. Don't worry about this dripping, it's the AC water. So, that being said, I hope this is useful information, and any backyard mechanic, there it is, a real good shot of that plug right there. Any backyard mechanic should be able to do this whole project. It will take you longer to go get the fluid and set up than it will to actually do the change. I'm going to do it again probably in another 5,000 to 10,000 miles, and probably every 10,000 miles after that for quite a long time, until I can get that fluid restored. But it's not something you want to do all at once, because the detergents in the fluid can actually damage the transmission when it's having problems. So I hope this is useful for everybody out there, and have a good time doing it, and good luck.